I was only 16 when my life had suddenly turned upside down. The words of the police officer haunted my mind for weeks after the accident. "I am sorry for your loss. For me, my parents were gone. A drunk driver had snatched them away so quickly that all I had left were the memories, along with a heap of unpaid bills, clueless about how to pay. They left behind no money in the bank, no one to fall back on. Just me, a kid who scarcely knew how to cook a decent meal, let alone stand on her own 2 feet. At first, I thought I could manage. I had to leave most of the extracurricular activities and started washing dishes at a local restaurant. The pay was dismal, so bad that it barely covered my rent for a small room within a ramshackle building. I could barely afford groceries. Instant noodles and bread had become my diet. It was a crush and struggle. Bad marks had become a ritual, and every day added some difficulty in keeping myself afloat. Then came the day when reality struck me. I sat in my room staring at the eviction notice on my door. With that eviction notice came an inside whisper at first. What if there was a simpler way? It started in an innocent enough way. I was sitting behind a classmate in the library when I heard her share her credit card number over the phone. My heart raced as I scribbled it down on the back of a piece of scrap paper. That night I ordered groceries online. I felt terrible, but at least I had a full belly for the first time in weeks. Not long after, I began to cross even further lines. I took to observing my friends closely, watching when they left their wallets unattended. I memorized pins and snapped quick photos of credit cards without anyone catching me. Each time, the guilt came on just a little less sharply, and the justifications came a little more easily. They're rich, they won't miss it. Or I'll pay them back someday. Pretty soon, I wasn't just getting by, I was getting high. I bought new clothes, a better phone, and had even begun saving for college. My friends envied my luck, unaware of where it really came from. Ironically enough, it didn't escape me. The very same people who put their trust in me were also bankrolling my new life. But that was one fateful winter afternoon. I was at a friend's house, Sarah, a girl who has always treated me kindly. Trying to explain something, she went to the bathroom and left her bag on the kitchen counter. I had snapped a picture of her credit card when I heard a sharp intake of breath. Turning around, I saw her standing in the doorway, an expression of shock and betrayal on her face. "What are you doing?" she demanded, her voice shaky. I fumbled to explain myself and apologize, but it was too late. She took her phone and called the police. I begged her not to, but the damage was done. Before I could even blink, the trial was held. There was too much evidence against me. Sarah's testimony, the tape, the trail of transactions with stolen credit cards. 3 years in juvenile detention, I was pulled one by one into a black hole. Prison was a cruel teacher. I was an angry and wretched creature. I felt it was unjust. I had no choice in my defense. But as the days turned into weeks, then into months, one thing started sinking in about what I had done. I betrayed the trust of people who loved me. I allowed desperation to change me into someone I barely recognized. Once I entered therapy at the facility, I recognized the first time intense agony buried inside me after having lost my parents. I wrote letters to all the friends who I felt wronged, knowing most would never forgive me. I slowly became a different person. I attended CR classes, finished my high school education, and indeed learned how to budget my money. At 19, the terror of what awaited outside greeted me on my release. I had no clue where to go or how to go about it, but I was determined not to live this way anymore. I got a job as a grocery store cashier and rented a small apartment. It wasn't much, but it was honest. Life at 25 is simple, yet it contains a store of happy moments. I am an office assistant and living in a small but warm apartment. I have reconnected with other old friends and made new friends who appreciate me as I am today, a stronger persona than ever. With respect to my choices each day, I am adamant about living my life in such a way that brings honor to my parents and reaffirms all the lessons I have learned. The mistakes are not lost to my mind, but they don't hold dominion over it now. They bear witness to how far I have come and how far I still have to traverse.